Motion being gifted literally the best game they ever could have asked for. Your compound stayed in play. Every other team really have to push deeper towards the center. This could mean absolute annihilation for the lobby except for Motion. This is going to be their ticket to glory they were hoping for the entirety of LCQ. Though, keep in mind, some teams still have a few members, especially Destined to Rise. 4 players are running about. Same for 27 plus, got himself 3 members. So looking really healthy this tournament. We'll see if that will be enough as those rocks. The nades, the Molotov, everything is just too much for him to bear. He cannot withstand that damage. And he's going to be eliminated, not quite able to make it to top 5. 5 teams now remaining. 2 solos and 2, 3, 4 squads. And 1 4-man squad. But Destined to Rise packing up there off that previous location, looking to set up shop up north. I think they are expecting a shift away from the Motion compound, which would be great for them. 27 plus and Motion, this is the fight that's going to unfold. And I did see earlier, Jackie, Motion were very low in terms of ammo count because they can't access any of the death crates. So they might be severely undiluted compared to 27 plus. They're like goblins here, getting all that loot in the death crate of Ozerox. That might be making a difference in that fight if it comes up next.
Yeah, their eyes lighting up with all the additional supplies that you've got to potentially put to good use now. That's always the issue with the loot goblins, mate. You might feed that to someone else if you go down. Destined to Rise, though, take the encounter up against the solo survivor of 777, Warrior. He's been a key piece. Always able to coast out longer and longer into games, but not here against D2R that are playing a blinding Miramar. 10 elims so far, going to thrust themselves up the rankings, and I don't think they're done yet. Their next encounter could very well be that Motion squad, though, that wants these points more than most. It has a huge element of edge into their overall result come the end of the following game. So they need to make sure they can convert on this. Right now, at least, like you mentioned, they are safe in terms of their positional play.
If there's only one team that's not in zone here on stage 8, it's going to be Molodoi. He's going to be forced to make a cross over the road. He's the only one that really hates this finishing moment. And he's got 6 nades. I don't believe I saw any smoke, so really going to be making that rotation across the road even harder to pull off. But the main thing you want to focus on is going to be Motion, 27 plus, and Destined to Rise. Whichever team fights last will have a significant advantage. And that might just be Destined to Rise from the looks of things. As, there you go, the nades coming out. Molodoi, I mean, he had 6 grenades, so why the hell not? They're behind that dip on the other side of the road. Trying to get it behind that tree, but really it's hard to build up some momentum on that util. Nades now also going to be coming back in his direction. Actually, good damage onto both Aslam and Tapok. That might result in a knock this time. Get some damage once again. But down to now his final piece of util. Can he get it? Can he get a post-mortem nade elimination? Maybe. As he's just chucking everything in the kitchen sink onto 27 plus, but nothing has yet to connect.
Few shots in the back.
Oh, he gets it.
Mate. Spicy stuff. This is not looking great, though, at least for the 2 players that remain now of Motions. They've lost a lot of the firepower they had. Trying to get out through the window side, you get lit up, and it makes it way harder with only Ibiza and Matic remaining. Yes, they're in a good spot for placements, but would they be able to survive long-term on this one? As Molodoi is still standing, snaking his way forward. Finally, the zone will catch up with him and close him down, so we fall into our final 3.
Very important game for everyone involved, especially for the likes of Motion. And Motion actually still just staying inside the building, hidden, have yet to move an inch, meaning that they haven't given any audio cues as to where they exactly parked up inside the compound. And Destined to Rise don't want to lose out, don't want to waste too many of their resources on that final Motion, so they're going to put their focus on 27 plus. And it's been so damn efficient, so successful, already up to 12 eliminations. One of the best games of the entire event for this team. Ruzen, Soul Survivor, the king of Uzbekistan in these games, has been able to do so much work. He's trying to convert the back-to-back killing. He gets onto Darling. Ruzen, no way he survives it. And Destined to Rise now down to a duo. It's a 1v2 as Reason picks up and goes back over to the ridge. He gets another one, but the nades is just too good. And Destined to Rise will prevail, take down Reason Boss, and get themselves a good old Miramar chicken dinner.
Wow, a hell of a play individually there, massively coming alive towards the very end of that game. So great stuff individually, but like you say, the overall chicken dinner will be taken by the D2R squad, who have had a far better run of things today, especially here on Miramar, getting that chicken dinner and a gigantic bounty of elims as well. They were taking no prisoners on that one, Max.
Very good game too. They were just trying to delay the fight. They didn't want to waste any resources on fighting motion, because that means you would have to get into the buildings, you'd have to chuck some nades and some molotovs. Maybe also a few stragglers are able to take down your numbers significantly, and then you're opening up a gate of opportunities for 27 plus to time it right, third party you, and take the win away. So I think they knew Compound is just not the right approach, so we're going to go a different way this fight. So I'm really happy with their game plan, their strategy this game. Rusenbot, though, had a different plan in mind, and generally, if he was able to tank a bit more of the damage of that second knock he got for himself, maybe that would have been a Rusenboss 1v4, which we have not seen in, I think, the entirety of this event. A 1v4 has yet to happen.
No, it would have been monumental if he was able to get it over. And hitting shots like this with the UMP, it made you think that maybe there very well was a chance for it, right? He was playing brilliantly on these peaks, especially that final one. Like the quick shot off into the reposition. Yeah, that nade misses. Who knows? Who knows? Wasn't meant to be here, though, even with Rusen looking absolutely ruthless out there. We do have our team stats for our winning squad on this one. One man stands out clearly above the rest in terms of the elims he took home, though. That's Bets there. Still, decent damage from the whole squad, Max.
Yeah, the guy is just built different in some of these games. I don't know how it goes, but sometimes Bets, you'll get a 0 elimination game or just a bunch like here. 8 eliminations over 1,000 damage. This guy is going crazy in some of these games. Though actually looking at Destined to Rise, before this game they had 53 points, Jackie. They were tied with the likes of 27 plus. So I'm going to say for Destined to Rise and 27 plus, because as we saw with Rusen, right, they were able to make it to second place. This is going to be them now moving straight into the finals, in my opinion. So I think the teams that are going to be in a really bad spot is going to be Afterlife, it's going to be Motion, it's going to be Champions in particular, because Champions had 3 points lead above those two squads I just mentioned earlier. Champions might just miss out on the finals. That would be an even bigger upset than Amix not making it to that stage.
No, it very well would be, considering, you know, from everything we saw from them, we expected them to make it further. But if you want a chance to get yourself a nice prize, go ahead and scan that QR code and make sure you grab the crocodile backpack before they're all gone. Supplies are limited and they're first come, first serve. So scan it, enter the code, and see if you're lucky enough. Lucky enough, of course, now effectively not being an option for a lot of these teams, Matt. Like you mentioned there, the shift to be within that ranking on the bottom side gets far harder, far more competitive, because the one big element that is laying over your head is the fact that that is all that's left. One game of Miramar. If you mess it up, it's over.
Really, it's going to be their last shot at glory for these teams. The last shot at redemption. Will they be able to take it in their grasp, or unfortunately give it up and miss out on possibly one of the biggest events for themselves out of the entire year? Because keep in mind, you miss out on making it to the finals. You miss out on PMGO Season 1 main event in Jakarta. You miss out on getting PMWC and PMGC points. So your year is off to a terrible start if you cannot make it to the finals. So you better get desperate, because things are going to get real crazy in this last match is on this game. Match 11, though, MVP is going to be Bets over 1,000 damage. Of course, as we expected, 8 eliminations. I don't think we would have anyone else possibly overtaking Bets, at least no one that really comes to mind right away. But yeah, it's good for him. Even without the shed, right? I feel like that was kind of the meme early on, Jackie, where you needed a shed to do well. And here, even without the shed buff, he's popping off and will also be our top fragger of the entirety of this Miramar match.
Yeah, no sheds required for Bets anymore. He is just out there absolutely giving it no matter what position he's in. So beautiful stuff from him. Great game overall. Blue as well back up there. Nice to see Ozerox once again getting a bit of a mention. And a consistent trend of having a few members of Avalanche in our top players continues, with Molodoy, the absolute lunatic, once again being up there, joined by Tommy.
Yeah, absolute lunatic. I don't know how I would take it being called an absolute lunatic, but I think it could be taken as a positive when you're doing well like Molodoy is. Tommy in particular, happy that he's doing well. I feel like he was the player that we had yet to see put up big numbers for the team, so Tommy is there now. It's just a very clean-cut, team-wide effort for the entirety of that roster, so definitely big ups on that one. As looking at the overall match rankings for this game, it's going to be 25 points secured by Destined to Rise. Avalanche were also getting 13, but I'm mainly focused on also 27 plus getting 12, so yeah, they should be looking really far away, creating a lot of distance between themselves and 12th position, though Motion, 7 points. It is good, Jackie. Technically, that would be enough to get them around the 40-point mark, meaning they are in reach of top 12. I still feel like they need another banger performance, way more than 7 points if they do want to make it to the finals in match number 12.
Yeah, you got to just, really dig deep now. That's effectively all it comes down to. You've had your chances. You've had your second chances for some of these teams. We've seen some redemption arcs be completed for some of the squads that looked like it had all blown up in their face. So for others that are still within that touching distance of the top 12, dig deep or forever accept your fate here in the LCQ for EECA. That's the lay of the land, but let's have a look at the overall rankings and see how things have shifted. Here, of course, D2 are getting that mass point injection. They do move up to 5th place off the back of that game.
Yeah, very good jump up here for Destined to Rise. Of course, will they be able to do that in the finals? That's a completely different question, but it still will be enough for the last chance qualifiers. Able also to see Ahmad dropping down a little bit, but this is going to be the very interesting page, as indeed 27 plus off the back of that second place will be going up to 65 points, tied successfully with the likes of Amix, but Champions 56 points here. Motion in 12th position, 52 points secured for themselves. Ooh, now with Afterlife dropping down for, I believe, one of the first times today in 13th position. It really is going to be a 4-horse race. Champions, Motion, Afterlife, and KZ. Which of those teams will be going home and which of those teams will continue their story in the grand finals?
Mate, honestly, I think it's closer than that as well. I think it is just those 3 teams. From what we've seen from KZ, I just don't know if they'd be able to do it on a map like this going into the final battleground, Max. But I think, possibly those 3, you have a chance where if Champions, with the poor starts they've had to some of their games being a consistent trend, they go down early. Suddenly you've got that chance for Afterlife and, potentially Motion there to actually snatch that away from them. That would be a ridiculous slip-off from where they started the day to end outside of the top 12. I'd be shocked.
It would be a shocking way to end it here for some of these teams. But mainly Champions, we cannot afford, and I cannot stress this enough, we cannot afford to see another 0 or just 1 point game, because otherwise Motion been able to really make it really far in these games. Their survival time must be crazy strong today. Followed by then Afterlife, they've got 51 points. They could also, with literally only 5 points, catch up to Champions in 11th position. KZ, not gonna lie, I think 34 points, as you said, on this battleground. I think that it's gonna be over for them. So actually, I'm gonna take it away. What I just said, I said a 4-horse race. I think it is actually gonna be a 3-horse race with Afterlife, Motion, and Champions. So only 2 slots available. One of those teams will end their run right after this following match.
Yeah, it feels that way. It feels that way. Here in Word, we're going straight back in as well. All right, then, here we go. Last game of the day on Miramar here as we kick it off one final time for the LCQ, as we both agree. It looks like in reality it is those 3 teams that have a lot to achieve and a lot to lose, missing out on an opportunity to go to finals, missing out of the prospect of everything else that would follow it in the PUBG Mobile esports circuit. If they're able to have a good run at the finals, the money, the glory, Max, it would be a sad state of affairs to not see one of these 3 teams there, but that is the brutal reality. One of them will not be making it.
That is esports for you. And actually, I want to bring back a topic you mentioned, I think, earlier today, Jackie, which is, what if you just want to get rid of Amix? The top teams like Gobe, Avalanche, Arcred could just drop on them and ruin their day. Now, maybe not Amix, but you could technically get rid of Champions, which also would be a big name to just kind of cross off the map entirely. So we'll see if that will be happening. I'm looking at Champions here. They are going in good old Picardo. As per usual, I don't think that's going to result in any early fights happening there. Yeah, indeed, they're going to be alone. So safe for them. Will that be the case for Motion? Also will be the case, as they're going straight towards southern side on Partona. So no hot drops involving these three squads we mentioned, Jackie, which is good. We will have just a more relaxed, we had very relaxed early games today, I feel like, especially on Orangua and Miramar. But this is what you should be expecting to see for those three teams, not taking this as seriously as they possibly can to make sure their adventure continues here this weekend.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for a lot of these teams, and the pressure's been insurmountably getting thicker and thicker. You could cut the tension with a knife. Amix up against SSE early. Didn't expect this to be the opening encounter we'd witness. Obviously for Amix, if they hadn't got themselves such a gigantic game earlier, this would be a whole lot scarier. But at least now they're attempting to fight back. You can see a little bit of clashing between the two, resulting in one downed player from either squad. Elevated position for Corp, forced to use the meds to try to pop himself back up and then unleash bullets downrange with the bullpup. Seeing if he can get him on target. That's Kvik that suffers, and Havlik as well falling. Quick snipe back over from Spike though, who scopes up full cowboy-esque as he will punish another man. And this fight is resulting in a lot of punishment for either side.
I mean, Amix know they qualified, so they're just like, yeah, we just want to end the tournament early for our break day so we can go relax in the hotel swimming pool. That is probably what Amix are thinking right now. He's got the Winchester actually for Spike. Yeah, that'll be a cool clutch to see if you can use it up against the likes of Mano, etc. here, and also Elisio for SSC. Though on the elimination feed, Mad Esports and Arcred going to be clashing. Not going to be a very important fight in the overall storyline of today and what it means, but Spike will be taking it home. Nice dub with the AKM, able to get himself that second weapon in his arsenal. But it's good. Eliminations are happening where it doesn't really matter that much. SSE, they were not going to make a comeback after the back of that, so that is going to be game over for them. Now fully confirmed this tournament. And Mad Esports and Amix, I would say, also secured themselves a position in the finals in 8th and 9th position, respectively. So yeah, good to see the teams that need to survive here, Jackie, still avoiding these early skirmishes.
Yeah, it would be a very tragic start for some of these squads if they instantly drop it. And that kind of ideal race we were setting up before it even started. So glad to see the three squads we touched on the pre-game are at least still alive for now. As you can sort of really assess here for yourself, it is such a small margin of points between one another. 12th place being the barrier that they are all fighting for. So a lot riding on this Miramar, a lot riding on the future of these teams throughout this season to kick off the year.
Actually, I wanted to open up a conversation with you at this point because we have to keep in mind we had 4 teams qualify already for the finals. Those are DG77, TT Project, Aurora Gaming, and I forgot the last one. Damn it. It is Vicious. There you go. Vicious. Got it.
Yeah.
All those teams already made it to the finals through knockout. Now we're going to have these 12 teams, whichever might be at the bottom, but 12 teams going to be added to that equation from Last Chance. Genuinely, do you think any of these teams have a shot of being top 4 and making it to PMGO main event outside of those of knockout? Like, are there any teams who are like, they have what it takes in your opinion? Because for me, no.
Ooh.
By the way, for me,
Yeah,
I think our top 4 of knockout is going to be our top 4 finals. That's my true prediction.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Like that is basically the most stacked teams from there. Like in my mind, there's a clear-cut sort of squad from there already in terms of the form that we were seeing with how the Vicious were playing, mate. I wouldn't be surprised if finals they absolutely come alive and are looking very deadly. So they're a strong favourite for me based on form. Out of the squads we've got here, Max, in terms of actually besting them, breaking into the top 4. In reality, I suppose the only storyline I could really see happening there would be maybe, and this is a very sort of, topsy-turvy maybe, is if GOAT Team have an unbelievable blinder. But, again, This is the best form we've seen from them. Yes, they looked incredible in the Club Open. Can they do it versus those teams, though? Because it made them look incredibly suffocated, incredibly uncomfortable when we were in knockout playing against them. That's the big caveat. I don't know. I'd love to say maybe Arc Red could do it, but again, it's only really been sort of when the competition is weaker, they've been able to blossom. I think you're kind of spot on in the sense that those top 4 teams were top 4 for a reason. They had drastically better consistency, incredible team play. The comms were very good. So I sort of mentioned the Vicious there and how they were clearing angles.
Yeah.
Like, no one's looked that consistent. And then TT Project, bro, like in terms of the setups, I think they just kind of cleared the lobby in terms of how good they were macro-wise.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think those 4 teams are just looking good. GOAT team and Arcred, I would say their consistency, if they can replicate last chance results going into that finals, then maybe, who knows, if things line up properly, if we see an Avalanche-esque big chicken din on Rondo, then who knows, that could be the difference maker. But the thing is, you have to keep in mind, GOAT team and Arcred are getting these kind of results, this amount of consistency without those 4 teams in the lobby. When they're joining, we're going to have a bit of a point sponge effect happening once more with those 4 teams joining the fray. So, yeah, I think that is going to be our top 4, but who knows, maybe we'll have a bit of a surprise this weekend. It would be fun to see. Of course, we'll be back on Friday, which is going to be actually very nice for, well, not the grand finals, teams already qualified, but the 12 teams of last chance. The fact they have an off day is good to have that mental reset and maybe rethink your strategy, because some of these teams, I would say, like Champions, for example, Amix, you should really rethink how you're playing this game because it's just not fit for EECA, and come up hopefully with a better game plan that will be good enough to do well in the grand final. So that break day is desperately needed, I would say, for a portion of these players and teams.
Yeah, I think for a lot of the squads that will make it through, Max, honestly, you've got to invest that time into, you know, kind of sitting down, especially with the roster, but perhaps with the coaching staff, if available, the analysts, and completely unpack the bag, discuss what went wrong, not only the positives, but a lot of the mistakes that we'd seen here, to make sure you're able to fix it, right? I know 24 hours is a short space of time, but do as much prep work as you can, because like we're both agreeing, it's only going to get way harder. We're going to put the big fish back into this tiny pond of 16 teams, and they will bully, I think, you know. I don't imagine for most of those squads as well, having the time off would massively cool them out, where they're not going to look as good. They're not that sort of team, right, where they're playing entirely off of like momentum and feeding the hot hand. They're smart squads. Well, I suppose there is one caveat. Maybe Aurora might actually start a little bit slower. That would be my only kind of like potential, because they do just love scrapping. So if mechanically they're feeling a little bit out of sorts for the early games on day one, could be a slower start there. Otherwise, I don't think it'll bother them. I think having the break and being able to watch the games would have done way more for them. So we'll see how that prospect comes to fruition, really, once we get them back in. But yeah, bro, would love to see something nice from GOAT team. Just think it's a bit harder, really, for them to be able to deliver in the same way once we get all the big squads back in action. For what it is now, though, still a very quiet game as things develop on this one. Nothing too crazy going down. You've got 2 squads with obviously just the duo to start with. That's going to be Mad and Amex. Amex obviously having that unfortunate run-in versus SSE that resulted in them losing a lot of their players early on to start this one. So it's been a little bit of a slow start to the game, all in all.
Yeah. I was listening, by the way. I had a little tech issue there, but I was paying attention.
Yeah, we got you back.
Yeah,
we got you back.
I'm fully back right now. But no, just to talk about your point of Aurora, about their usual slow start, right? If you want, I can read you a snippet of my prediction video. I got a prediction video coming up for this tournament. Would you like to read it? Okay.
Yeah, go on.
So I'm like, so my top 4 teams in order are, then I put 4th, 3rd, and 2nd place, and I'm like, and in 1st place, Aurora Gaming, if they stop trolling. I just had to add that, knowing the fine print of like, that is going to be the exception.
Asterisk,
yeah. Just, we know what they can do, the docketing, the trolling. They like to go out early sometimes. Without champions, they might not go for as many early clashes. But yeah, they're going to be looking like a true favorite going into that stage. By the way, you were talking about fishes earlier. We still have water in play, which you don't see happening very often on Miramar. You do have Partona, half of Partona, technically still in circle number 2. It is very... it's very unlikely it's going to be pulling south towards Partona Island, or Prison Island, or there's a lot of different names for that island. that you can have. But Motion, very quick. They drop Partona. They already crossed the bridge up north. They're already dead center of the circle. So Motion so far in a position that could technically push them up in top 12 and remain there. Well, they're already up there, but I mean remain in top 12. So Motion, macro-wise, that's some good IGLing happening once again that they've shown kind of sparsed out throughout the entirety of this tournament. They've shown just glimmers of potential that hopefully we'll be able to capitalize on this match.
A lot of operative words for some of these teams, right? Kind of, you know, you have to stay hopeful. Depends on the other squads. It's one of those where it feels like that's the sad point in a game like PUBG Mobile. When you leave it this late into a competition to have a big pop-off, it is always in the hands of other teams sometimes, which is a horrific spot to be in, when you know that your fate can be decided by a different squad. We'll come back to our theorising, though. Right now, there's a bit of fighting going on. Again, these are two of our teams that are looking very safe in terms of their top 12 finishes. It's going to be the squad of D2R that took our previous chicken dinner, clashing onto TGM, so far resulting in a very easy encounter. Just one man left. As I say that, he gets unwound. Goodbye, Retro. See you later, TGM. They can save their mate as well and reset from the fight. So destined to rise, finding 4 Elim points for free.
Yeah, not too much on the line for this fight. These are two teams already qualified, but actually could have an impact because every elimination that happens this game, every team that gets squad wiped in this match means less points available for your bottom teams, such as Motion, KZ, Afterlife, Champions, to really start to distance themselves away from the cutoff point in the rankings. So yeah, you do want to try and get into the late game, but you also don't want to miss out on opportunities to get eliminations because unfortunately other teams are a lot more willing to fight because they don't have much to lose. So Champions in particular, finally, they've got a full team here, Jackie, which is a positive based on what we've seen throughout the entirety of Last Chance. And they've got a good entry point south of this road line. It's got a good ridge to keep you safe from the opposition up north. So not a bad entry point. As there you go, jumping on over. Demo's going to regroup slightly more with his squad mates. And actually could set up shop under the bridge. In this circle in particular, the lower side of the bridge, just next to Motion, is very strong. It's really hard to get an angle to really eliminate teams under that bridge location. So I hope Champions go there because that could keep them alive for a very long portion of this match.
For Champions, longevity could be absolutely everything. Oh. This is what happens when one car loves another car very much. Max, as they make their move back into the zone.
I didn't know that's how cars were made. That's really cool. Hey.
There you go. You learn something new every day, mate.
That's what happens in Neox factory.
Yeah.
With the cars.
That's where they come from.
That's where they come from. Is they're all born in Neox. Anix going for a wide rotation, by the way. I just saw they actually went on the southern island, going to go onto Partona, going to make their way possibly over the bridge very soon, depending on where Phase 4 pulls towards. The bridge is still going to be in place. Actually, that would be really good. It might be a clash of Champions and Anix fight and wrestle away the bridge for themselves. That's 777, destined to rise. Bit of an altercation, right? You're looking on the exit outside of Western Los Leones. Fight, though, again, storyline-wise, not going to add too much value to it. But we'll see if they can get a bit of a banger here to wrap up the Last Chance. Might give them a bit of a confidence boost headed into the finals this weekend. As Betts eliminated, that's only a 4-pointer for Destined to Rise, but still in top 5, so not a bad performance. Actually, one of the teams, I would say, Jackie, that has improved the most throughout the entirety of PMGO EECA Spring 2026. So, who knows, maybe they can build upon their strong base and get even more strong results headed in that next stage.
No, substantially so. They've definitely been giving us a lot to be excited about from the individual players to the team as a whole, the longer we've seen them playing. So, very good stuff. Nice to see the improvements over the flow of what's been, you know, quite a few days now. The competition's not stopped. So they've been taking that in their stride, learning from their mistakes and displaying some good rise to form, living up to the name of the brand. Everyone else, though, still keeping themselves relatively safe. And at least for what it is, we haven't had that many individuals picked off as well. So obviously our topic of conversation about the amount of points being available for the teams that need it, well, that is still a big prospect. You can see our two teams that need to have a good game, though, going head-to-head here. This is Champions up against Motion, so this is a big one.
Going to be an important fight. Motion can't afford to lose it. Same for Champions, and Champions already got a player knocked. Thing is, whoever wins this fight pretty much will be able to actually make a push up, and the other one might just be left in the dust. Champions in particular. You know what? I'm going to say it. You look at the minimap. Champions do not need to fight Motion. This is a completely unnecessary fight. I'm going to be a little bit critical here because the lower portion of bridge I mentioned earlier, you can see over there, is in the circle. It would keep you so damn safe. You have no idea. And yet they're going for the buildings. They're putting themselves in harm's way. They are in nade range. Very easily, actually, for the entirety of Motion. Even just a few Molotovs could easily get a squad wipe. And they got the lower ground too. So genuinely, a bit of a head scratcher for me. Not sure why this decision's being made for Champions. As even Demo's a bit confused. Do I go up? Do I go down? Do I reposition the car? He's not sure of what to do. If they do get eliminated, I feel like this would be one of the biggest throws of the tournament from Champions. They can't afford to take the L right here.
No, exactly. Effectively, you are giving your spot to Motion, potentially, if you lose this fight. Ooh. Especially now, with them being able to even contain the fight from the backside that's coming their way, with Avalanche splitting their attention round towards them as well. Yeah, Champions cannot afford to lose this one. It's a very weird early encounter to take on Headstrong. You're basically running at the team that needs points to best you and take your position away, and offering it on a silver platter with this downhill battle. At least they haven't lost any players just yet, and we'll be able to quiet it down somewhat. But when push comes to shove, both of these teams need to win.
Actually, they might even know this is Motion, because they know Motion. If they got all their drop locations sorted and they know where every team's like to drop, they got the, the big paper map, and they put stickers of each team logo as to where they drop.
Yeah.
They might know part owners that team. Natural progression of the game would kind of predict this would be Motion's natural progression in this game. So maybe that's the plan. Maybe they just want to eliminate Motion. That we'll have to talk to the team to know exactly if that's what's happening in their noggins. But this is a standoff. The thing is, you only got 15 seconds to go. I'm sorry, I hate this so much. This is such... Even Motion are like, bro, you're really delaying this fight. We want to get into zone. We want to rotate. Champions is here to ruin it, because if Motion leave, they're showing their backs to Champion. And if Champions do that, then they're also showing their backs to Motion. So they're kind of just locked in this fight. It's really hard to go for an exit, except for Champions could still go under the bridge, by the way. And I don't know why they're not going for it. They're really taking their merry time.
Yeah, this is looking really scary the longer it goes on. They've both put themselves into uncomfortable positions, so spooky signs of life here. The culmination of that fight could be a very awkward one. Meanwhile, right now, we got some scrapping between the big boys in the lobby as 777 go head-to-head. Meanwhile, we do see the nade actually landing on target up from Champions, so there was some good damage onto Motion. That might be the first stone that's cast. That could be the go signal. There we are. The team collapsed upon. They dispatch Motion, Max.
It would have been so good to see the Polish team make it to the finals, but for Ked and company, it's just not meant to be. That's it. Champions able to get himself 2 of those eliminations, actually, for themselves, so that's going to be able to keep them a little bit more comfortable in the top 12. But KZ, actually, looking at KZ, they're also down to just a solo player, so I think this is game over here, Jackie. I think our top 12 teams are indeed locked in for our grand finals, with Afterlife barely squeaking through, and Champions, and also Amix and 27+. So well done indeed, but let's see if they can get even more points for the side of Champions to make a bit of a statement that they mean business entering this final weekend.
Yeah, so there you go. I guess the topic of conversation was that they were confident enough that if they do just destroy the Motion roster, they don't have to worry, right? It was either Afterlife or Motion that needed to be slain for them to have a guaranteed safe placement in the 12th, with KZ being so far behind. They rep themselves and do win the duel, so they will take that one home and be able to live to fight another day. Like you say, at this point, effectively to perhaps just send a message and show us what they're made of, get a bit of confidence back, do it for the arrogance, some ego elims perhaps.
I mean,
meanwhile, Afterlife as well.
Yeah, I mean, these two teams know also Motion are eliminated. They saw, because when you get fully flushed out, it shows the full player name, so they alerted that they're safe. The teams that were their main competition were eliminated, so might as well just flex out. Demo, actually, maybe not this much. Look at Demo on the minimap. He's surrounded by 3 teams. What is this man doing? Calm down.
That's what he likes doing, mate. He just wants to throw himself into fights. Guy absolutely loves it. Honestly, this could work out for a few more points. And it's up against the Avalanche crew as well. So if they can pick them off, it'd be a nice message to send straight to their inbox. Molodoy, though, could be a key piece of the puzzle. Arc on the nade as it bounces off the windowsill is going to miss its target. So Tommy is taken down for good. Demo eats the dirt eventually. Response back onto him. Molodoy's second nade looking far more primed.
Some good util. Oh, look at Vocher. He's on top of the ramp. Would be sick if they could drive a car off of that and just drop right on top of champions, but that's going to be a good clap back to the face. Fearless, again, consistent on his sprays, but Amix, the 2 players, the 2 stragglers on the low ground, making a little bit of a push and to climb their way up here. They don't have their climbing gear, though. It's just going to be Spike with the buggy looking to make his way to the default, possibly. But that is just way too risky. But he's actually going to be saved by Goat Team in a way. As Goat Team, yep, looking strong. 3 eliminations, still got the full squad. But they know also Amix are in the distance. Default is going to be flushed out by Moxie. That's an extra point to their name. And if you're Spike, really, I would maybe just deny to the blue zone. Not worth making that push upstairs whatsoever. There's now 8 teams alive, meaning placement points are going to start to come on board. And Goat Team, the fact that Arcred got eliminated here, unless a miracle happens for Avalanche and 777, Goat will be your last chance qualifiers champions.
And honestly, mate, they've been such a fun team to watch, even back from the Club Open, that it's very cool to see that big form come back their way. We were saying how close they were to actually stealing one of the top 4 spots off the other squads to even get through directly to the finals. But hey, they'll be happy, maybe even with the extra practice in this kind of lobby, to have some of their best form yet in the finals if they maintain this quality.
Come on, you know what? I would love an Ozrox win. Keep in mind, we had this circle just a few days ago. It was on the compound of Ozrox here to the east. And they were surrounded, I think it was by Aurora Gaming and TT Project, and they got a little bit into a too dire of a situation, and it was actually won at the end by TT Project. Let's see if they can try and redeem it this time around. Be good to see. Actually, no, it's a different area of the map. Sorry, I thought... I was watching, like, is that road? I was like, no, it's actually the compound. No, the compound of Avalanche where it was ending, not this Ozrox compound. So, you know, it's close, but not exactly. So that's a mess up on my part. Sorry.
So I mean, we all make mistakes. It's been a long day. No harm, no foul.
They look the same on the map sometimes, but that'll be my excuse. But Ozrox, hey, good opening knock there. Maybe able to use it to push their way a little bit deep in the circle. Actually, really good use of this dirt pile to keep their cars. Wait. Make sure no one pops the wheels, but Ozrox getting... Also, not just them, but I talked about a few other teams like TDM, but Ozrox also improving significantly as the days have gone by. So, also a team that could be a surprise in those finals.
Yeah, I think so. You know, they've definitely looked like they've improved tenfold from where they were previously, which has been very fun to watch. The Serbian team that's got a ton of firepower, very good confidence in fights as well. They don't kind of give up. You take a fight to them, you better be willing to finish it, or else they'll certainly chase you down. Focus. Ooh. Trying to line these up. Looks a bit antsy. Didn't want to overcommit with some of the shots there. Doesn't quite get the glory on that one with a peek down onto the Afterlife crew. So Goat won't get to steal some additional points on that. Don't really need too many though.
They should be looking pretty good. Yep, Goat team still got some vehicles. I'm sure Moxie wishes he had that hovercraft. Actually, you could get a few hovercraft spawns down south of this mountain. So if you could go down there and get it, why not? You will take a lot of blue zone damage, but Moxie just loves the hovercraft so much, so why not? Might as well do it. You know you're going to be the champions anyways. Phase 7 is going to be ticking hard. It's only 6 teams in this lobby. Metacore down to just BCG Pro, which is rare to see Metacore make it late game. Sure, it's just a solo, but it's still quite odd. It is not something you see every day. 27 plus and Afterlife just going to be surrounding that one solo straggler as Avalanche grows up, going to get flushed out of that game. Everyone being just held off on the edge, except for really Ozrox that are sending Leon over to the center. He's got access to an airdrop also, which could be decent cover to play from. Smolodoy will be making the send forward and picked off by Focus. That is the end of the Avalanche line. So they get eliminated in this top 6 position for the last game of LCQ.
Goodbye and good night then. The remaining teams get smaller and smaller. Leon being lit up from the sides for Ozrox. The opportunity here to absolutely thrive quickly starts to fall away from them. If they wanted a last game chicken dinner, well, that becomes a bit of a tall tale now, perhaps. Only 2 players there trying to get their mate back up. They will save Leon just barely. So he's not been taken out of the running just yet, but he will have to invest a bit of time and the meds to fix himself up. Focus. He takes a couple of shots towards his general area, forced to tuck in behind the limited cover and pop the stims to stay alive. One of the longest games we've had in terms of survivability for meta, but they do result in the classic flavor. They're down, they're gone. Goodbye Windy as well, as the zone moves up onto Afterlife's final man. And these are our top 3 squads then in the last game of our LCQ.
Really good, by the way, on Windy to survive just a bit deeper, just to really make sure they remain in top 12. If they weren't aware of the early elimination of Motion, then that is going to be just a little bit of peace of mind for themselves. As Melaz making his way onto the roof of Longhouse, really good jump onto the door frame. But no, he's not even going to... It's just parkour. Just absolute flex for no reason. Just like, yeah, I can do that easily. Make it to the roof. It's going to be 4v4, v2. V3, actually, right now. I'm looking at... You got... Oh, no, actually... I know it's only a trio of Ozrox. They lost the play way early in the game. I didn't realize they were just so close quarter. On the minimap, it looked like a full team. But no, they still only have 3 players. It's only a full team of Goat. Good damage dealt to My Buzz. Making the cross over the road is not going to be an easy achievement. As Phase 8 is going to center up, and actually the only player that's going to be dead center is going to be Leon. And we saw what that guy, right, Jackie, has been able to do in the past with a few good pieces of utility, in particular grenades. And as anyone gets close to that util range, maybe Leon looking for the clutch to get a Serbian chicken dinner here to wrap up LCQ.
They'd love the opportunity to. Don't know if it's going to be going their way. It's looking pretty oppressive right now with the other squads collapsing up, but it's a bit of infighting between all sides, it seems. 27 plus taking damage back out onto the Goat squad. Bad boy in the back line. This man can do a lot with a very little. Armed with a Mini 14. Can he make some major moves? Ooh. Nades barely whizzing by him. A sliver of health left. He's forced to pop the meds and keep himself alive. He sees the head of Focus that's bunny hopping just on the periphery there, but can't quite peek on him yet.
You can see 27 plus have been able to successfully make it over the road lit. So My Buzz, especially Bruising Boss, still in this one. He means business. He's going to try and make it work out, as My Buzz is going to be the first to fall. Ruse and Tapok, can they make it work as a duo? As now the fight is in full swing, everyone's involved, everyone's looking to fight last, but that is just not going to work out, as 27 plus is going to bite the dust out in 3rd position. Now down to the last 2 teams. It's going to be Goat Team and Ozrox. Will the Ox or will the Goat secure the chicken dinner? It's Bad Boy going for the jump with a DBS. The back-to-back shot connects. It's beautiful. There's now things calming down. A few players knocked, maybe looking to go for the reset, but that's not going to be permitted by Ozerox. Eliato also bleeding out slowly but surely. Force and Moxie looking to make the push over through the smoke, but Bad Boy might just get the reset here, Jackie.
I think he's going to be able to, gets his teammates back up. Bad Boy, an absolute force to be reckoned with. Malaz on the swing, though. Couldn't quite punish, so he's got to dip himself back down into cover. Force closes the distance, but he's isolated and removed. Moxie with a P90 punishing as he spits bullets towards Bad Boy, but he withstands the test, slays the GOAT. And the Serbian side will survive for the final chicken dinner of the LCQ.
Ooh, I thought the P90 was going to be the nail in the coffin there, but no, it was just not meant to be. Ozerox wrapping up LCQ in style with that chicken dinner. Sure, they had a great position the entirety of that late game finish, right, with that compound, but it was actually whole teams at bay for big majority of this game, so they did a lot of heavy lifting this game as a team, and in particular, Bad Boy, right, we're seeing him also kind of rise through the echelons of PMGO EECA, and he's a big name now that I'm very excited to see play in these EECA finals. But at the end of the day, we do know our top 12 teams here, and Motion in particular reaching a very bittersweet ending here, as they almost could have made it back in. There was a glory that was just there at hand's reach, but it was just not meant to be, as they do get eliminated by the good old champions from Mongolia.
Yeah, there you go, mate. In the end, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Finally, it comes to a close in the LCQ. Our topic of conversation going into that one was obviously very centered around Motion, the Polish side, if they'd be able to steal away enough points. But Champions took the fight straight to them and upset them in that encounter. In reality, that final circle then, the final encounter on our chicken dinner, not really needed for the points, more to send a message, to show the confidence these squads have got going into the finals. And for Ozerox, it's great to see them being able to take it. They're an exciting team to watch, Max. And I think the fact that they do underline the end of their run with not only survival comfortably in the top 12, but also a chicken dinner. Hopefully, this is a trend that we're going to see more of this in the finals. They were a bit quiet, right, in knockout. Now they look like a whole new team.
I think they might even be around podium actually with this game, with this chicken dinner, so they could be looking even high on the rankings than I initially expected. So yeah, what a big step up from Serbia, looking strong. But Bad Boy in particular, he's been showing himself on the top fragging list a few times in the past, but now he's just a consistent player throughout every single one of these matches, it feels like. So really happy with Bad Boy as an individual, but it is going to be still a team-wide effort to make it here to the grand finals of PMGO EECA. So overall, good games. It was a little bit rough for some of the teams at the bottom of the rankings, not able to make it. We'll have to say goodbye to some teams after that one, but we can say hello to the Crocodile backpack right now. We can all enter the code or scan the QR code. Hopefully we'll still have some, and you know what? I don't care. You guys had the entire broadcast to try and redeem it. There was 75. I'm going to scan it now. I'm doing it. I'm going to see if I can get
He's
get
scanning. Here we go.
Right.
Let's see if Max can get one. He's giving it a go. Have you got your phone ready? He's trying.
No, they've all
It's like watching Grandpa at Christmas.
They've
He
all been
can't
redeemed.
quite figure it out.
There's no
It's
more.
all gone?
Yeah.
Nightmare. Nightmare. All right. Well, you had your chance, Max. You know, you had your chance. I don't know why you're pretending for the camera. I know you took all 75 of them before the show started, but it's fine. We'll let you off. Anyway, there you go. That's our match summary, of course, for Game 12 on screen now. The last match of what has been an intense 2 days of last chance qualifier action here.
Yeah, it's been a really rough one for some of these teams, but I think more than just talking about, oh, these teams qualified, it was really good. I think we really need to also highlight the overall improvements of some of the teams. GOAT team in particular, Arcred, looking at TGM, Ozerox, so many teams that I would say were just not even close to being contenders in the knockout stage. Actually now we're like, hey, you know what, on a really good run, maybe there is a little bit of hope. There's just a glimmer of opportunities that they could make in the top 4, but again, it's going to be heavily defended, heavily guarded by the top teams that instantly qualify through knockout. The storylines are going to be really sick, though. I can't wait to expand upon all of these stories we built up over the last 6 days worth of gameplay, but only 4 will be making it to good old Jakarta for the PMGO main event.
Yeah, super intense competition there. Very cutthroat, but as it should be. We want the best of the best. One of the best out on the server today, though, was, of course, Ozerox's bad boy. Like you touched on, mate, this guy's been pretty consistent in terms of showing his face time and time again in our elimination leaders. He's been very fun to watch, massively impressive in the clutch there as well. Not only did he shut down the GOAT team onslaught, right, but it was against that P90 that was just spitting an ungodly amount of bullets in his direction. So the fact he kept a level head and won it out with 2 quick shots, really, really good mechanics on display.
It was just good pre-fires over the dirt pile that really gave him the edge up against that P90, as you just mentioned. So overall, bad boy not only being the MVP, but also being the top player of this game with his overall stats, able to get almost just shy of 1,000 damage here in this game. So yeah, I'm hopeful we can see a bit of a follow-up from Ozerox moving into the finals itself, though GOAT team still have 2 players and Ayato and Focus. I mean, the entirety of GOAT team have just been having an absolute field day the entirety of Last Chance, genuinely. I mean, looking at their results, Jackie, they've been so consistent on the placement point side of things, on the fragging side of things. When you see them make it to the late game, it's a team-wide effort. Ayato's got some crazy good utility usage, and Focus long range is an absolute menace. Every player has put up numbers. It's a team-wide effort, so I'm very hopeful the GOAT team can do so in the finals. Will it be enough to be in top 4, though? That is going to be a completely different question.
Yeah, that's where it gets way more cutthroat, right? With some of our big brands, big players all returning to the battleground. And they were looking on top form back in Knockout as well. If you missed any of that, guys, I tell you for a fact, they were top 4 for a very clear reason. We'll get into some of our thoughts before we wrap up the show in a couple minutes time, though. For now, let's dial in on what we've just seen there in our last and final game of the LCQ. Match 12 being taken by the GOAT crew. On the bottom end of things, of course, the one big talking point was, can Motion still a top 12 away from either Afterlife or, of course, Champions? Well, you can see there, Max, it was only the 1 point in the end they got themselves.
Yeah, the answer to that, unfortunately, is going to be no. They're not going to be able to make it. I wanted to use my audio mix at one point in the show, but it's just
That's
not.
good, yeah.
It's just that
made them wait for it.
Yeah,
good. That was nice.
Yeah, but it's unfortunately when the Polish team goes out, which is a little bit sad over time to use it. But here we go, looking at our grand finals teams. Of course, this is going to be joined by the likes of TT Project, DG77, Aurora, and Vicious. But looking at all our 12 teams making it through LCQ, well done to everyone indeed. And at the very bottom, Afterlife, Champions, better count to play a little bit more consistently going into the finals, because it was a little bit too close for comfort.
Hell, even Amix can be tipped into that conversation, right? If they did not have that one game of greatness, Max, maybe they would have been the team that made it through in 12th place, but thankfully they did step it up. Let's see the lay of the land then one final time. These are our overall standings come the end of 2 days of competition.
Yep, that's going to be it for GOAT Team, crowned your LCQ champions after these last 12 matches. It's a very good game overall, but look at the consistency in particular. 55 placement points after 2 chicken dinners. So you remove 20 of those points from the wins, they still have a total of 35 placement points. And look, only 35 placement points, Jackie, would be enough to tie Ozerox, that also have 35 placement points with 2 chicken dinners. So the amount of late game finishes we've seen of GOAT Team has been absolutely mental. So I'm very hopeful we can also see some good stuff from this team headed into the finals this weekend. Though second half is where dreams have been crushed. Motion, KZ Esports, SSC, and Metacore will be ending their PMGO EECA run right here.
Yeah, unfortunate that we have to say goodbye to them, but it does come to an end for those squads. We will say hello, though, for our MVP, our Infinix daily MVP of the competition here for the final day of LCQ. And this time around, it's Hard Boy.
Yep, I mean, Hard Boy, Bad Boy, Power Boy, Fire Boy,
all the boys.
All the boys right now. They're in full swing in this tournament for EECA. It's a good presence from Hard Boy and Bad Boy. But yeah, overall, his elimination spread was good. Really good, actually, headshot ratio over the course of an entire day. That's going to be some good presence from him overall. Though, is he going to be our top fragger? I think it could be almost someone else. It is going to be, Warrior will be the top fragger from the entire... this is the entirety of Last Chance qualifiers. Is going to be Warrior, the Survivor, making it deep, followed up by then Hard Boy. Molodoy could be renaming to Moloboy, apparently. I don't know, there's just a trend happening. Force and Ayato up there to be our top 5 fraggers of LCQ.
Yeah, no, I like that one, mate. That's good. You should DM him that.
Yeah.
See if he'll switch it up. And then, you know, once he wins a couple big globals as well, he could rebrand again to Moller Man.
Just the level up. And then when he's retired, Moller Grandpa, I don't know, Moller Gramps. Just got a...
Moller Unk.
Moller... That's even better. Yeah, okay, you win. Okay, you got that one. We voted, that one won. As the MVP will be Warrior, but Bad Boy's up there. He's able to peek through. So Moller Boy and Pad Boy and Hard Boy, all the boys again still here as your MVP rankings of LCQ.
Yeah, Hard Boy, Moller Boy, and Bad Boy. What a hell of a trio. Right then, let's have a quick look back. This is how the whole day went down. No repeat chicken dinners on the LCQ. It was Generations of Miracle coming out. TGM limit large on game 1. Goat team for our second. Arc Red as well, of course, showing us what they're made of. Avalanche team on the final Erangel. D2R with a big win there on Miramar. That was a great game from them. And finally, Ozarox closing it out on the last Miramar of the day.
The Rondo not really feeling like a Rondo with that TGM win. It feels like the Rondo was more like match 9 or match 10 or even match 11 for Arcade, Avalanche or Destined to Rise. But overall, really good results from some of these teams showing just glimmers of hope and potential. So the finals are next to come. And I would not like to beat any of these 12 teams here, Jackie, because looking at the 4 teams that made it already through knockout, it's going to be heavily guarded here at the top of the rankings.
Oh yes, you are going to have the biggest and brightest returning to the lobby in a couple days' time. Make sure you keep it locked, of course, for the PUBG Mobile Esports socials, so you know when and where to tune in for the most exciting scenes here as the EECA finals will kick off following tomorrow's break. Join us for more exciting action. From myself, Max, and the production team, we'll see you then. Bye-bye for now.
I'm Christopher Judge, and when PUBG Mobile approached me about being the voice architect for the Centaur, I knew this would be something very special.
Now, I'm bringing 2 souls to life through Helios.
One legend, 2 faces. Feel the epic. Stay tuned.
Thank you.